What's good, y'all? I'm asking you guys a question. What is the importance of having a social media following? Okay? Why is it important for an individual to have a fan base on social media or the internet? Let's think about this one. You see, the problem is it possible for every person to have a social media audience? And I don't know the answer because there's 8 billion people. Let's say each person has a following of 100,000, right? Active followers and participants in that person's community. Okay? So followers are basically circulating creators as well. Because in this scenario, we're assuming that every person on the planet is a creator and has a following. Therefore, everybody is also following a number of other people. As, I guess we can just keep saying creators, as creators on the internet. Oh, I'm set up. So, the question is this possible? Is this beneficial? Would this cause any issues? This is a good question. I want to know what you guys think. Because obviously there's a lot of people in our generation who want a social media fan base, you know. You hear a lot of people say, I want to do social media. I want to film content, right? I want to do this. I want to do that. You know, I want to do it all. I want to see it all. I want to be it all. A lot of these people have big aspirations and, goals. I don't know if you can call them goals, because there's some people who want something, but they don't really care to achieve it by themselves. So then is it just really a goal, or is it just a circumstance that would be favored, right? I don't know what that word is. But yeah, I mean, what even is the state of our world anymore, you know? I genuinely don't know if there's ever been a better time in history, because most of history is just dark, you know? Most of history is just suffering and imbalance of power. But as we are seeing in the current world, the current imbalance of power of current people with power is getting greater, and the divide is getting wider. The middle class is getting pushed down with the lower class, and there's almost no hope for the lower class. I mean, everything's going to the big boys, the politicians, the lobbyists, the CEOs, these world leaders, these policymakers, and the people who change interest rates, who, you know, are in charge of all of that. It's very interesting how it works, and I'm obviously still learning about how it works. I'm only 19 years old, and I only really started realizing that this is true. This is the reality that we live in about 2 years ago, and really about a year ago is when it hit me. But honestly, maybe about 6 months ago is when I actually understood that it is certainly real and it's an issue. And it's honestly all I think about now. But the question is, what are we going to do about it? Think of it. Think about it. There's only what? Maybe there's 1,000 people who are untouchable, right, as of right now, who are at the top. Maybe there's 1,000, around that number, more or less, who control the world, right? They run the economics, they run the geopolitical agreements and the goods that different countries trade and whatnot. It's in the hands of the few, right? But it affects the masses. So, as we know, common sense, numbers win, right? If there's 5 million tigers versus 3,000 gorillas, who's gonna win? The tigers, obviously, right? So, all I'm saying is that if the lower class, the middle class, right, the middle upper class, if they all united, right, however many that is, could be 7.5 billion, right, could be a whopping majority of human beings that exist on the planet. If we came together and decided that we don't like this is not the type of world we want to live in, and we're going to do something about it, guess what? Things would change. Yes, some people will probably die, right? It's just inevitable. You get caught in the fire, right? Something happens. Politician gets emotional, doesn't want to lose all their stuff, and then he orders some sort of boom, shots fired, right? You know, lives would be sacrificed if everybody on the planet came together to stop what's currently happening in the world and create change. But it would be for the better, right? Because, oh my goodness, it is actually crazy, guys. The fact that we live in a world that runs on an imaginary idea, an imaginary value system is crazy. And the imaginary value system I'm talking about, obviously, is money. And when I say imaginary, I mean it's all in our head. Yes, there's green paper. Yes, there's banks who hold these green paper in quantities of billions, and there might even be banks out there who hold green paper in quantities of trillions, right? So physically, they hold tangible cash, but what is cash? Physically and literally, cash is just green paper. Can you eat green paper? Is it nutritious? No. Can you turn it into water? No. Can you build a house out of paper? No. The wind would blow it down. Can you turn paper into oil? I don't believe so, right? So does green paper have any actual value besides the fact that you can burn it and create a little fire out of the paper? No. But what this green paper is, it's a representation of value of a transaction, right? Of the value, the fractional value of a good that people use for trade, for survival, for recreational purposes, whatever it is, right? And this system is used for everything in the world. The system is used to buy groceries. The system is used to buy cars, to buy clothing, to buy furniture, to buy technology, to buy streaming services, entertainment, to buy oil, to build construction sites, right? Cash is literally used for everything. And I think it's flipping ridiculous that we put so much value and importance into green paper, right? And I'm saying green paper because the dollar is green, but obviously I understand that not all currencies are green, right? I just call it green paper because that's what it is to me. But at this point, guys, it's not even green paper anymore. Now it's just numbers on a screen. You load up your bank app, you see the S with a line through the middle, and then there's a number to the right of it. And that's how much of this cash you have, right? And you trust it's there wherever it is, wherever it physically sits in whichever vault it sits in at whichever physical bank location it's at under your bank's name, and you trust it's there and that it's protected and that only you can use it and nobody else has access to it. But at the end of the day, that's stupid because it's not physically in your house, right? And you see, if it was at your house, then it would incur zero interest, which is bad because this idea of inflation, unfortunately, is real because the people at the top are greedy. But if this so-called cash sits in your bank account, it also incurs zero inflation, value inflation, because inflation outside of your bank account is bad. Inflation inside your bank account is good because it grows, right? And that's just called interest. It's called interest, not inflation. Sorry. Interest, right? When the money inside your bank account grows, interest, good, you get more of it. But when the amount of the currency outside your bank account goes up, that's bad because that's the price you have to give of the cash in your bank account to attain a good. So you don't want that. Now, if inflation occurred in the stock market, but your money was in the stock market, that would be good. And there's a possum. Wow. Because that's like interest, right? If the money in your bank account is growing, good. If the money in your portfolio is growing, which is just the value of the assets you're investing in, that's good, right? It's basically inflation, but that's a good version of inflation, right? But when the price of things that your money is not invested in is growing, that's bad because your money is not growing with that. And then you would have to buy that asset at that risen price, which you would lose money in the short term, but if it continued to rise, then you would make money. But if the price of that asset deflated, then you would lose money in the short term because you bought at a higher price and then you currently own that asset at a lower price, right? So it's all about timing, but you can have good timing if you know what's going to happen. And the people at the top have the best timing because they have inside information and they know what's going to happen. So they can buy and sell certain assets at the perfect timing in order to maximize their return on investment. And that's called insider trading. And 99.9% of people do not have access to insider trading because the majority of people are not the top 0.1% or even smaller than the top 0.1%. And that's why this whole system is corrupt and intentionally designed to keep those below the upper middle class where they are and slowly climb down the ladder because of, I already explained it. Yeah, guys. It's a lot of thinking. But thinking doesn't get you anywhere until you do something about it. And I hope to do something about it in my lifetime. That's right.